alcohol comes with health warnings, age limits, and long lectures. But who exactly is going to explain that to a chimpanzee in the middle of a forest? Because in parts of Africa, the party has been going on for years. Our next report telling you more about what we are talking about.
We are often told to drink responsibly, count the units, mind the liver. But in the jungle, the rules are different. No glasses, no bartenders, just fruit, heat, and chemistry. Deep in African forests, wild chimpanzees have been observed deliberately consuming fermented fruit. When ripe fruit falls and sits in the sun, natural sugar turns into alcohol. A study published in the Royal Society Journal Biology Letters has shown that chimpanzees living in the forests of Uganda regularly ingest enough naturally occurring alcohol to register levels that, in some workplaces, would trigger disciplinary action. Chimps seek palm wine daily. They chew holes in trees, slap the sap as it ferments into alcohol. Researchers have observed the chimps showing clear signs of intoxication, stumbling, socializing aggressively, and falling into deep booze-induced naps. But the chimps are not drinking alone in the wild. Across the savannah, elephants have gained a legendary reputation for their love of the amarula fruit. When these yellow treats ferment on the ground, they turn into potent alcohol bombs. Scientists believe this behavior is no accident. Many wild fruits naturally ferment in the heat. The resulting alcohol is not just calorific. It may help attract animals to disperse seeds. A little inebriation could be part of nature's design. So next time you raise a glass, remember you're not alone. The wild world might just be clinking bottles right alongside you. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Telling you now about a record number of Americans leaving the United States. Once known as the land of immigration, America is now witnessing a wave of immigration. It's a shift not just seen since the Great Depression, but also for the first time in decades. More Americans are moving out than moving in. A striking demographic shift is unfolding, one that's not been witnessed in 250 years, in fact. In 2025, the United States recorded net negative migration. Estimates by the Brookings Institution suggesting the country saw a net loss of around 150,000 people last year, and the outflow is only expected to grow in 2026. Meanwhile, in-migration into the U.S. dropped sharply to between 2.6 and 2.7 million in 2025, down from nearly 6 million in 2023. But the Trump administration is hailing this exodus. Trump is seeing the negative net migration as a fulfillment of his campaign promise. Maximize deportations and minimize newer visas. But then this record surge is not being driven by undocumented migrants alone. An increasing number of U.S. citizens are choosing to leave. They are relocating with their families, seeking countries that are seen as more affordable and safer for them. An estimated 4 to 9 million Americans have left the U.S. As of 2022, nearly 1.6 million Americans were living in Mexico. More than 250,000 were in Canada, over 325,000 in the UK. Over 1.5 million Americans are estimated to be living across the European continent, in fact. Ireland, meanwhile, welcomed around 10,000 Americans in 2025, roughly double the previous year. Portugal has recorded one of the sharpest spikes. Its American population has surged more than 500% since the COVID-19 pandemic, including a 36% rise in 2024 alone. And in a notable reversal, more Americans moved to Germany than Germans relocating to the United States. Very interesting. Requests to renounce U.S. citizenship, meanwhile, are also on the rise, with a month-long backlog reported. Applications jumped 48% in 2024 and are believed to have increased further in 2025 as Americans seek foreign passports for taxation relief. Education trends mirroring this shift, in fact. International student arrivals in America fell 17% last autumn, while more Americans are enrolling in European universities. But what's also driving this change is interesting. Experts cite Trump's tough immigration crackdown, of course, the America First policy, the surge in remote work, the rising cost of living and inflation in the US, and the tough taxation laws among the reasons. What if growing old did not mean growing forgetful? What if your brain at 80 could work just like it did at the age of, say, 40? Scientists say some people are already doing this. But how exactly? Scientists studying super-agers, as they are called, have found something remarkable. Their brains do not shrink at the same rate as most people their age. Key memory regions, particularly areas linked to attention and recall, remain thicker and more active. Brain scans showing stronger connectivity in regions associated with focus, executive function. Some studies suggesting higher levels of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, and even continued neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons later in life. In simple terms, their brains stay flexible. Researchers saying the super-agers, or those who are 80 years old, possess a unique structural advantage. While the average brain loses volume, theirs stays robust, powered by a process called neurogenesis. They are not just holding on to old memories, they are physically growing new neural pathways well into their 80s and 90s. And scientists say the brains of super-agers contain more newly developed neurons than younger adults in their 30s and 40s. Researchers also found out that those in their 80s tend to be positive and challenge their brain every day by reading or learning something new, in fact. And many are physically active and continue to work into their 80s. Science now also proving that high-intensity mental engagement triggers the release of specific growth factors that actually shield the mind against dementia. The message here is quite simple. The brain is a muscle. It demands a workout. Just to put this simply, if you don't challenge the machine, it ends up rusting. And if you do, then your brain remains robust.